Hey guys, what's up? Lumpy Ice Cream here. Today, continuing along with our look at the Galactus series of Marvel Legends. For those keeping count, that's the 9th series. We got Deathlok over here. Just gonna say, this guy is a pretty underrated figure, I think anyway. The only reason I picked him up so early into the game, I guess, is because he was at my local store, Dan Solos. I mentioned him in the Bullseye review. I picked this guy up shortly after I picked up Bullseye. I didn't mention it in the last review and kind of feel like a douche, but massive thank you to the Tim, who is sitting right here, for letting me use his camera.
Welcome back.
And as I currently do not have a good one, I have one, but I don't want to mention that abominable piece of crap. If you've seen any of my old videos, you'll know why. So let's talk about this guy with this new system. Again, big thank you to Uncle Rick, as a lot of people call him out there. Uncle Clipper, all of those names. Tim has no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah, big thank you to him for giving me his blessing, I guess, to use his style. Big thanks to you, man. So let's just dive right in. Let's talk about the character Deathlok. I know shit all about this particular character. Yeah, I still like the figure. So I'm just gonna rate the character right now and how crucial he is to get. He gets a 2. I believe he appears on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, or he's in an episode or two. When I looked up a picture of Deathlok, it also came up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Deathlok, and I gave that a look, so I guess he's in the show. I don't know to what capacity. I do intend on reading the comic that comes with the figure, but yeah, I don't think he's one that anyone particularly needs in their display. I've just stuck him with the rest of my Avengers characters because I don't know what to do with him. I don't even know if that's correct or not. I'm not sure where to put him. So I just stuck him in there. So he does get a 2, but yeah, let's just roll on. So the packaging. I won't beat around the bush because I talked about it in the Bullseye review. It's exactly the same. Obviously, just with Deathlok's details right there. It's kind of interesting that energy projection is at a 0. I mean, he does have a gun attached to his chest. I'd think energy projection would be, you know, kind of somewhere. But intelligence is at 5, so is fighting skills, so they're his strongest points. His strength is 4, speed is 2, and durability is also at a 2. I don't know why. I mean, he looks to be made of metal. So yeah, I didn't read those stats out for Bullseye, but too late now. So yeah, packaging gets an 8 for the same reasons that every Toy Biz packaging gets an 8. You know, clunky, not good for mint on-card collectors. Yeah. So, let's move on with the sculpt of this guy. So he has this zombified face on this side. And, you know, it's very skeletal. It looks very zombie-ish. He's got this, like, metal wire, I guess, or something going along his forehead there. His hair is really nicely sculpted. I mean, you can feel all the texture in there, and it's really great. And then going around to the cyborg part of his face, he's got his, like, target eye in there, the brow, very Terminator looking. Got all, like, the panels. Then we got the neck section. The neck, his right arm and his legs have this kind of panel, like Colossus texture to them. I don't know what to call it. His torso has these kind of muscle, kind of like wrinkles in them. And then got these sculpted lines going down the torso. He's got this massive backpack. And that's got all of these panels, and the shoulder pads there look really nice. His left arm is sleeved and it's got some more musculature to it. Looks really good. And then on this side, on both sides actually, of his forearms, you got these, again, that kind of pattern down the bottom there. Rivets, that's what I was looking for. His hands look really cool. Again, it continues that rivet texture, but on the back of the hands, you've got like almost like muscles going across, like bones. You can't see because my hands are freaking fat, but whatever. You then got his belt here. Looks really good. You got all like the squares and panels. And then his like little underwear section, which I guess is kind of like a goofy look. You got more of those rivets going down. The legs, you got that musculature with the rivets. The boots, you've got like these, I don't know. I'm not sure what they're called, like bolts, I guess. They kind of look like bolts on the side. Again, more rivets in the boot there. There is a rim at the top of the boot. Then looking at his feet, more rivets on the toes there. He's got kind of like a two-toed look. Really nice sculpt. Very techno-organic. I love the zombified face. I love his proportions. He does have the infamous problem that a lot of people have with some Toy Biz Marvel Legends, and that is the bulbous shoulders. Prominent on the Deadpool and Iron Fist and Mr. Fantastic. He definitely has that. The shoulder pads, I think, help out a little bit more, and once you get it posed, it doesn't look too bad. But overall, I'm giving the sculpt a 10 out of 10 because, I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. You've got all of the texture. There isn't like a surface that isn't textured. You know, well, there's some, but even then they have details on them. It's just really good to just stop and look at this kind of work. So yeah, Sculpt gets a 10 out of 10. Let's roll on to the paint. Going back to his face, it's kind of this greenish grey, and it looks really grotesque. He's got kind of yellow teeth. His hair is really nicely painted. That's kind of like a dirty blonde look, and it's got this shading in it, this subtle shading. And I want to talk about the red for a second. This red is awesome. If this red was put on like all the Iron Man figures, I would be really happy because I love this red. I think it's one thing that shitty Hasbro 2-pack Iron Man did, the one that came with Maria Hill, which had the head to become Sharon Carter. That Iron Man had a really nice red. It's too bad that the yellow was shit, but it was kind of darker than this red. The red is a lot brighter in person. It's coming across kind of dark on the camera. But it's this really nice metallic red. And then in these creases on the torso, there's this black shading, and on the arm, you can kind of see it there. It's just this black shading going out of it, going into the creases, even on the back there. It's not so much on the boots, but that doesn't matter. This red is a really nice red. I would have loved to have seen this on all of the Iron Man figures. Because man, this red just looks awesome. Then you got the gold for the belt and the kind of line, the piping going up the torso and onto the collar. That's a nice gold. It's not shaded or anything, but it doesn't need to be. That gold also continues onto the pipe, the rivet section on the boots and toes. Very cool. And that's really nicely painted. There's no like paint bleeds. Really nice. And then one thing that I think is really cool with this figure is all of the shades of silver and grey that go into this figure. So you got in the head, then you got this kind of matte grey for all the little details inside the head. You can see that there. That's really good. The head kind of matches the neck, not so much at the front. The paint, you can't see it on the camera. You can see some red coming through the silver paint, but that's not too bad. The backpack here matches the head, but then you've got the greys here, which are a darker grey on the arms and legs, but then you've got this lighter silver area here on the forearm, and then there's darker grey in the hands. But then the sort of skeletal sections that are on the hands are a different grey as well. So you got about 4 or 5 different shades of silver on the figure. You got it in there, down here, which kind of matches here. It's just phenomenal paintwork, and there's some blue shading going in it, but it's nothing to detract me. I think blue shading on white doesn't work, but when it's kind of here, just sort of chilling out, not too out there, it's not too bad. It's a good look. So in case you can't tell already, I'm giving the paint a 10 out of 10 because I love all the colors on here. They really pop, they really stand out, and I'm just amazed by the red and all the different silvers and greys that are in this guy. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for the paint. Rolling on to articulation, he can look up and down, disc hinge in the head, so can look all the way around as well. He has the upwards butterfly joint, which allows, instead of like it moving forward, like on the bullseye, it just moves up, which I think that is one of the most useless joints, mainly because you can't really do much with it. It just butts up against the shoulder pad. But he does have the ball joint at the shoulder, which can move up and, you know, spin around. And then he has the ball joint, or the bicep cut, which swivels around the ball joint. Double hinge at the elbow, swivel at the glove, and hinge at the wrist. He also has finger hinges, and they're both trigger fingers. He has a cut below his man pecs. Don't know why. And then here's my problem with the figure. I don't know if it's mine. It might be on other people's as well. His ab crunch wants to spring up. It doesn't want to stay. And that's a big problem. I don't like it when ab crunches do that. My Ultimate Captain America figure is the same. But yeah, it goes back fine. It just doesn't want to go forward. That's, yeah. He does have a waist swivel. T-jointed hips. So this is what I was talking about in the bullseye review. You don't have to rotate the joint around to get it to move forward or out to the side. So that's what I think should be a standard for the wave. He does have thigh swivel, double jointed knees, rotation at the calf, joint at the ankle, and a really good ankle pivot. I mean, look at that. That is great. That is a good ankle pivot. And toe joint. So for articulation, I'm giving it a 9 just because of the problem with the torso. I think torso articulation is pretty crucial for an action figure. Because the difference in posing could just be by leaning it back or leaning it forward just the slightest. And with this figure, at least my figure, it can't do that. So articulation, it gets a 9 out of 10. Now on to accessories. We'll just set him aside. obviously, you have the Build-A-Figure piece, which is the upper torso of Galactus. Really, really nice. Let's just try and connect the two pieces we have here. And we got his leg here and the torso here, and something's not going right here. I don't know what it is.
You've created the mighty chest leg.
The chest leg. I don't know, guys. This isn't... I don't know. I'm going to have to get in contact with Toy Biz for them to fix that. That's a big problem when the pieces don't go together. Yeah, that's just no... I mean, they're out of business. I can't call them. So, yeah. But for accessories, he does, of course, come with the comic book, which is pretty much a staple with Toy Biz Legends. If it wasn't that, it was a poster. He comes with his gun, which is attached to his chest. I do consider it an accessory. The same goes with the New 52 Aquaman figure from DC Collectibles. He has a trident that's attached to his belt by a chain, which cannot be removed, but I still class it as an accessory. The gun itself looks really good. It's kind of this black, and then these silver areas are applied to it, and they're kind of dry brushed on. I'm not sure if the silver's dry brushed on. I think it could be, yeah. You can see here it's got that dirty wash to it, but then you got all the little silver dots that really make this pop. You know, you just wouldn't get, again, not to bash to bash Hasbro, you just wouldn't get this level of deco on a gun anymore. I mean, that's just great that they paid this much attention to an accessory that can fit in his hand. It does have the little hole, or the peg in his hand, and a hole on the handle. And as you can see, that just does fit in like that. This can get in the way. I find that if you leave it hanging like that, this is like a soft rubber piece. It will kind of straighten itself out, and you'll be able to pose it like that. And see, just from it hanging loose like that, it's gone like that. But I'm going to show, if you don't necessarily, I don't know why you wouldn't want him displayed with the gun, but the one thing I do is I kind of pull this down like that. Oh, what did I do before? And then there's these kind of sections here, and there's a hole here that can kind of plug in. I'm not sure how I did it, but I think I tucked it under here. Yeah, something like that. So that just loops around and into there. There you go. But of course I have him displayed holding the blaster, because why wouldn't I? So this could just be me not knowing the character, but I'm giving the accessories a 10 out of 10 because I don't know what else he would come with. Again, I wouldn't know if he does have some other weapon in the comics or some other accessory he could have came with, but for the time being, I'm giving it a 10 because I don't know what else he could come with. So yeah. Now let's go to value. I paid the same price for him as I did Bullseye, and that's $32. Just to clarify, that's 32 Australian dollars. Did I say that mega Australian? Australian dollars.
Australian dollars.
Yeah. So 32 Australian dollars. I don't know how that converts to other currencies. But I'm giving the value a 10 out of 10. He's a figure that I don't think gets enough recognition, and I think it's just down to the fact that not a lot of people know about the character. Definitely pick this guy up. You'll be pleasantly surprised. He's a really nice figure. Just don't kind of look him over just because you don't know anything about the character. I mean, I didn't, and I still loved picking this guy up. He's really fun to pose, really fun to look at, and I can pretty much guarantee that you'll enjoy this figure. So that brings it the overall to 59. That's 6 points more than the Bullseye figure. Do I like it more than the Bullseye figure? Yes, I do. I think taking into account everything, Bullseye should be the character you get first. He's probably more important than... He is more important to get than Deathlok here. The only reason I picked up Deathlok as early as I did was because he was in the store and I just picked him up. He probably would have been one of the last ones I would have gotten otherwise, but I'm really glad I did pick him up. So that's the two I have in the wave at the moment. I should have Nightcrawler in a few weeks' time. If Dan can track him down for me. If not, I will resort to eBay to find him. But when I can, I'm going to go through Dan to get everything from now on because, you know, I love supporting local stores more so than online shopping. And you know, I've been going to Dan's shop. Well, he hasn't always owned the shop, but he's been at the Sunday markets, and I've always been going there to pick up figures for like I don't know, 2 years now probably. Why am I picking Bullseye up? Fuck off, Bullseye. Deathlok. Yeah, if you find this guy, definitely pick him up. I wouldn't say go over $40. Probably stick to around $35. And I think that's a good price to pick him up at. Because, you know, I think the coolness factor isn't necessarily a good reason to buy figures if you don't know the character. I mean, for me it is, but for you it might not be. It depends on whether or not you just want to own a nice figure. And this is definitely a nice figure to get. So if you're into nice figures, pick him up, but don't expect to know much about the character. Or, well, if you don't know much about the character, yeah, I'm saying just basically the same thing over and over again. Pick him up. You'll be pleasantly surprised. It might encourage you to learn a bit more about the character, actually. So I definitely recommend this guy. I will see you guys whenever I make the next video. I think the motivation to play Arkham Knight is pretty much lost for me after I was spoiled for the game. I might make a rant on that at some point in the future. But I don't plan on dumping the game entirely. It's just I can't be stuffed playing it at the moment. The motivation's gone for me because of the major plot point that has been ruined. For those of you who are interested, it's the identity of the Arkham Knight. I'm not going to talk about it here because I have common sense, unlike the fudger who spoiled it for me. So yeah, I'll make a rant on that at some point. The next figure review should be in a couple weeks' time, depending on whether or not Dan can locate the Nightcrawler for me. But until then, I will see you guys in the next video, and take care.